Hello, my name is Sammy Rosa. I graduated from Perth Amboy High in 2021, and I'm currently a freshman in SVA, or known as School of Visual Arts, in New York City. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, about 10 years, and I've started to develop more of my work in my junior year of high school. When I started to see that it was a profession that you can do, I started to take it more seriously. Once I went to Portfolio Day in New York, which is where all of the high-end animation or art colleges go to, they would send their representatives to talk with fellow students and to review your portfolio for you and give you some critique. They will tell you what works and what doesn't. And once they tell you what you need to have, then you take that critique and advice and work on it as much as you possibly can. So if you want to get some critique on your work and you have time to build upon it and want it to make it look presentable, I would recommend going. So 1 is to go to that National Portfolio Day in New York, and 2, to ask your teachers for references, materials, anything that they can give you, and if you can work on that in their classes. And 3, it's hard work, a lot of hard work. Even though it's a career that you like or that you would love to do, it's still a lot of hard work. I did all the hard work that I needed to do to get into college. So once I received the letter that I got accepted, it feels like I already did it. But once you get into college, it's a lot harder from there. You're gonna have to, well, in the field that I want to work in, which is animation, it's a lot of late nights. A bunch of one-nighters, and you have to stay up, and it's just a lot of constant work. Usually I have 5 classes that I need to do, and just 1 week for assignments, which really does not seem like enough time. We're gonna have to make the deadline because that's how the industry works. I'm majoring in animation, and I'm going to show a couple of the work that I've done so far in the past 2 semesters to show how it's like to work in the animation industry. The first class that you would take is Drawing 1 and 2. It's just one class that I take once a week for 2 semesters, but it is 6 hours long. So it's one of my longest classes. You will have to study skeletal and muscular anatomy to understand the proportions of the human body so that you can transfer it into your animations. Gesture drawing is like an everyday practice. You have to get used to doing it every day because that's what they would make you do, either in class or off class. They want you to do it in 1 to 2 minutes, just like quick drawings with graphite, watercolor, whatever materials you have, just to have the human body down on paper as fast as possible. They do want you to have the line of action and a fluid movement of the human body. They want you to move on to gesture and anatomy, just incorporating the 2 into 1 or 2 minute drawings. And you would just take what you learn from anatomy and incorporate it into your drawings. They will teach you the muscles starting from the head down. They will first teach you the facial muscles, chest muscles, and torso muscles. After that, they will move you to back muscles, arm muscles, and leg muscles. These are the gesture drawings that I was talking about. Each one is 5 drawings per page, so that's a 5-minute gesture, each one being 1 minute. You can use whatever media you want. I chose watercolor, and you just have to get the figure down of the body as fast as possible. These are 2 from my first semester. My gestures weren't as clean as they are now. They were very messy, but once you practice a lot every day, doing quick gesture poses in 1 or 2 minutes, you'll be able to refine it as much as you want. This is what I was talking about before with incorporating gesture and anatomy together. You would do a quick gesture drawing in 1 or 2 minutes, and you had to take what you learned from anatomy class and incorporate it while using a live model. So you can get some accurate representation of the muscles. They will also have you color in each muscle. These are observational drawings and still lifes. The first one was with a graphite pencil and done in 5 to 8 minutes from a live model. And the second one was a still life observational piece that every student brought to school and built a quick model of. And you can use whatever materials you want. I did watercolor and colored pencils. The last one was more towards the second semester, where you would do a quick gesture of the model that you have, and then you have to look at the model and imagine what scenario they are in because they want you to learn the skills for storytelling and storyboarding. These are some still life assignments that they give you because they want you to practice still lives outside of class, not just in class. So this one was done at a Starbucks in about 20 minutes, where I just did a quick contour and some values with just watercolor. Story structure is another class that they would make you take. They will put you in an industry-like environment to work in. You will have to tell your story in about 3 keyframes with your beginning, middle, and end. And once your professor or director revises it and sends it back, then you can do it in 8 frames. Once you do that, you can start thumbnailing with no frame limit, only a time limit. So that would be about 2 to 3 minutes. Once you have your 3 keyframes down, then you can get more into detail with script writing. But script writing, you're also limited with only 2 pages. So if you want to tell a cohesive story, you can only have about 2 pages to do it. Then you move on to character models. And then you will have your own SFX folder with sound effects and music along with voice acting if you want. Your final animatic will be done in Storyboard Pro, which is a program that they give you for free along with Toon Boom Harmony. This is just a quick 2-page thumbnail. It wasn't improvised yet, so it's very messy and very sketchy, but that's exactly what they want to see in your first pass. Once you send it back to your producer and they tell you what edits to make, you would do them, and that's when you move on to Storyboard Pro to refine them. They only let you work in grayscale with darker tones in the front and lighter tones in the back, anything with values in mind. They want you to use multiple camera shots, such as mid shots, long shots, or close-ups. So that was the first storyboard that I had to do, and this is my second storyboard. These are some character sheets I made while developing my story, and these are the 3 keyframes with the beginning, middle, and end. But since you're working in the industry environment, you won't always be able to work on your own stories. They will have to send you to another project to work on, and you will work under that producer and that director. And they will probably receive your work to work on. So I had to switch with another student, and he will become my producer and my director, and vice versa. Intro to animation. In animation, they will constantly berate you about the pendulum and bouncing ball, because those are your main foundations for animation, because it focuses on timing and spacing. You will also practice the 12 principles of animation. You will work on traditional and digital. Your first couple of pieces of work will all be on paper. So these are the foundations they give you. They will show you the pendulum and bouncing ball. The reason they want you to learn this is so you can learn timing and spacing. So as the ball swings more outwards, it will slow down, so it gives the illusion of speed. The more it swings out, the more frames it will have as it slows down, and as it swings back towards the middle, it will speed up and have less frames. Same idea with the bouncing ball. As the ball is in the air, it will have more frames as it slows down because of gravity, but as it falls back towards the ground, it would speed up, so it will have less frames. Then it will make contact with the ground, and it won't have as much frames as it was in the air, but it'll still have more frames than when it was falling down because it has to squish, bounce back, and then take off again from the ground. And this one is basically the bouncing ball, but with a live animal, which is a frog. Since it is a live animal and not a ball, it won't just immediately bounce off the ground and take off. It has to anticipate what it wants to do and think about it. The walk cycle is both the bouncing ball and the pendulum. The bouncing ball is in the legs as they bounce off and on the ground, and the pendulum is in the arms as they swing back and forth. So you will have timing there. Then they will move you from humans to animals, specifically aligned with the walk cycle. Same idea with the walk cycle, except now it's with 4 legs, and since it's a lion, it walks differently than a human. So the front legs will slide back and the back legs will have to pick up from the ground and land in the same position so that the lion can catch itself while walking. We would then have to transition from a walk to a run. You can do it with a human, but we did it with the lion. And the run cycle will be faster than the walk cycle, so it will have less frames. And with the lion, you have to think about how the legs would swing back and forth as it runs. Eventually, you'll be able to work with your own personal characters in a scenario in which they have to pick up a heavy object from the ground. You would have to incorporate anticipation, exaggeration, squash and stretch, and have to have timing and spacing to give the illusion that is picking up something heavy. So that previous project was the last project done on paper before we moved to digital. This was my final project for the fall semester, and you will have to animate a character in a lion suit walking onto the screen towards the camera, towards an object on the ground. And the object has to react to the person reacting with it. The reason we did this is to have a sense of perspective, depth, anticipation, reaction, timing, and spacing. They also want you to add the mane and tail onto the character so that you know how to do overlapping actions. So as the main body moves down and up, the mane will also have the exact same reaction. These were done during our spring semester, where those previous projects, like the final, you had about 2 to 4 weeks to work on, and any other project about 2 weeks. Now they want you to work faster because that's how the industry works. So this one had to be done within an hour or two. So you had to animate the person walking on screen, reacting with an object like the chair, sitting down, picking up a coffee cup, and reacting to it. But this is all in preparation so that it can be able to adjust to a faster working environment, because that's how it is in the industry, and this has to be done within an hour. So keeping with the idea of working within an hour, but having an extra half hour to revise any adjustments that you had to make with timing and spacing or squash and stretch, as well as cleaning up your line work. For this project, I used a reference video of my brother doing the action, which is what they encourage you to do in the industry. They want you to look at references all the time or to act it out yourself, because they want to make the animations look more human and organic as possible. So here we had to again animate within an hour, but the difference between this one and the previous animations is that the previous animations had keyframes. For this, you only had to do straight ahead. So instead of having keyframes planned out ahead of time, this one you just go straight for it. You have to draw each frame corresponding to the next one. So you have to keep the proportions correct at all times. And you have to make sure the action fits within the next corresponding action. Our teacher then wanted to torture us and do the same assignment again in class, but within an hour under his supervision. So same idea, straight ahead with the guy jumping on screen and then off screen. This one was within an hour, while the other one was 2 hours because we can take it back home to refine it. So this one is a bit more sketchy, but it does have a lot more life to it. That's because of the squash and stretch, which I guess is the pro to animating within an hour, because it forces you to finish it in an hour, and keeping all of those principles of animation in your mind at all times and having to incorporate it into the animation at the moment. This was a much smaller class called Digital Composition, which was more technical than my other classes. They introduced you to a lot of Adobe programs such as After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, Toon Boom, TV Paint, and they just want to get you in every program so that you know how to use it and get used to it. And if you take a liking to them, you can use it in your future projects. Programs are mainly used in mainstream media, such as advertisement or adult animated TV shows like Rick and Morty or BoJack Horseman. Any animated commercial that you see that has animation is probably using one of these programs. These are some of the assignments that I had to work on, all in different programs, changing every week with Photoshop, Toon Boom, After Effects, TV Paint, and so on and so forth. They made us do a quick demo reel with all of our best work that we've done in the class, and these are a select few that I liked. This one in particular introduced me to Toon Boom with a quick bouncing ball animation. The second one is from a character sheet that I made. We had to input a character of our own into a live setting and to match the coloring and lighting and shading to make it seem like it fits into the video that we take. The third one is a puppet animation with individual components created and animated separately. And this one was a quick rotoscope assignment with a character of your liking. The last one was a parallax with a background that I created.